Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. And I think just kind of reflecting back on what we've seen from Breeze to this point, we're getting a lot of really mixy, scrambly battles very quickly. So it makes sense, I think, on one side to see the Neon and the Phoenix. But I think for FlyQuest, this is kind of an early adaptation to say, hey, we can slow down double duelists by adding a Teo in the mix with the Sky. So it'll be interesting, I think, to see if it's like the unstoppable force or the immovable object that works out. And hold on a second, we've got a big punch over towards Elbow. Well read, though, by Swim. Really good curveball comes through. And that's going to be enough for Swim to come away with the trades, leaving just Melia, the last one left.
Yeah, 3v1 situation here for Melia is definitely going to be a tall order to ask from her, but overall, she's one of those players that is such a heavy hitter. You can definitely trust her in these clutch moments. Able to isolate the one, but Bob with a quick trade. I think a great reaction there from Swim Trek Blue once they got that heads up on the push that was coming down Elbow on the side of FlyQuest. You're talking a little bit about the delay potential, right? From the Taeho, from the Viper, as well as the Astra and the FlyQuest composition. But I actually don't want to see them leaning into that too much. I do like the proactivity that we just saw in the pistol round, but if you're really thinking about how quick Sleepy Arya is when it comes down to those entries, how fast Sherrod will be on those follow-ups as well, they're the type of team that's going to get past that utility before you even have the chance to really set it down.
At least that's the idea, right? And I think that's interesting to kind of see FlyQuest playing this composition and obviously trying to be very mobile while also still being very stall out. And I think it just builds that versatility that you're talking about. Like, they could choose to just control space, delay, or because you don't just have to rely on a Sentinel, you can play with a little bit more mobility, take away space. So it kind of gives you a multitude of options. Whereas, I don't want to say it's one-dimensional for Swim, but you know what you're going to get. It's going to be dissection, breakdown of the site, holding on to the Viper's toxic screen till late in the round, using the high tide, and then it's just straight action afterwards. So Swim going to take their first effort back over towards this B position. It is just classics for FlyQuest, so it should be pretty casual here.
Yeah, definitely should be. You say that about the maybe lack of dimensionality in the Swim composition of things, but honestly, things get pretty crazy. We saw it yesterday in VCL with a very similar comp in that Core versus FlyQuest VCL Challengers team game. So I think that there is a lot of opportunity, especially with that space creation. I feel like that's where we're really going to see that Taeho come into play, is clearing out a lot of those angles that Swim Trek will allow themselves to get into because of the coverage that this comp can provide for those repositions.
Here comes the full flood. If there is going to be an effort, otherwise FlyQuest may just sit here, wait for the spike to about to detonate and just give away their lives. Find out, smoke comes through, there's the flash, gonna give this a go. Arya up close and personal. Sherrod will be the first to drop. But the follow-up is still a little bit more punishing than you would have figured. Bob is watching the cross. They're gonna have no problem cleaning that up. It's just down to one, not gonna happen. Bob takes 3, Swim Trek. A little bit more dicey than you'd like here in the anti-eco. Will soften up the bonus just a touch, but all things told, still fine.
Yeah, I think FlyQuest is going to be decently happy with what they're able to take away from that round. You've got Thea, who's also 2 away from that Cosmic Divide from coming up here as well. But into the bonus that we were talking about, Swim Trek, because of how they manage their economy in that anti-eco round, are actually going to be able to force up quite nicely into the bonus. And you also have a Reckoning to play with here for Corrupt. This is a very convertible round here for Swim Trek.
Absolutely it is. Yeah, pretty much full rifles except for the one stinger in the hands of Arya, who's going to be up close and personal anyways, so it doesn't really make much of a difference what weapon they're able to pick up. First look over towards a potential A execute. You see all the pings kind of breaking down what's going to go where and when. And Thea is going to be in some trouble. There's the high tide. There's the late wall. Again, look how much this breaks down this site. Reckoning going to come through. It should have affected the Teo, but there's so much separation that they might be okay. Thea's going to find the first. They will drop. Back at the site. Glow stick good for another. Jazz at least respond with one good snake bite, putting some vulnerability and a little bit of damage in. But this retake is looking pretty hard pressed. So once more, it's just good creation of space. Jazz needs to win this battle. Not going to happen. And it's looking really strong here for Swim Trek, and they will find Edith, and that will likely be about it. Melia, last one left, has a 1v2 in front of him, and if you're Swim Trek, you just back off, play a clutch position on the angle of the spike. It should be a bonus win here.
Yeah, this is super comfortable. You've got Arya going for that jump peek as well. Melia knows that she has to push forward to try and get a pick of some sorts. It's just not going to happen at this point. A nice round here for the bonus for Swim Trek Blue is Arya plays with food a little bit.
Yep. Playing with food a lot of it. 3-0 start for Swim Trek. And keep in mind, this is FlyQuest map pick. They just lost the bonus. And it's another one of those things, you know, kind of talking about the harbor being inserted into the picture here. A really solid start for Corrupt, to be sure, but also just good collection of orbs and knowing who's going to plant to try to get that early reckoning up. And you can see it coming across the site there. I mean, there's just no chance for the Tejo to get involved besides just sitting in between two pieces of water. So great stuff for Swim Trek. And now all of a sudden you start to bring in the conversation of things like the run it back, which is already at the ready.
Yeah, that's gonna get farmed up very quickly for Sherrod. That is for certain. Early Trailblazer goes out and does get broken. I like the relay bolt just to deny any sort of early peek there from the side of FlyQuest. And I think that's kind of more of what we're going to continue to see on the FlyQuest defense, right? Util just being used to try and set Edith up on some long lines. Obviously, different story for this round because it is an eco on the side of Fly, but I think that's more what we're looking at for the utility for this defensive sided team, as opposed to that stall. They're really trying to set Edith up with some picks, and that's kind of always been the game plan for FlyQuest. When you have a player like Edith, you want to set them up for that success in these duels.
Well, FlyQuest is going to feel pretty comfortable in their setup right now, considering that they just have Sheriffs and a Guardian, because they killed off about half the round and still have some aggressive angles to get extra information on before this hit eventually ends up on the A site. And yeah, FlyQuest have read this nicely. They're gonna have 4 players in position. We'll see if they can convert. The Toxic Strain for the attack of Swim Trek will isolate Thea just a touch. Deep smoke on the way. Here comes Arya. Flash on the corner. Well timed, but it's Evie for 1. Now it's just down to Arya, trying to get more space around the site, takes a bit of damage, trying to find the Tejo on the outside of the pyramid, but Jazz has got the cross, and this is looking really solid for FlyQuest. Bob to find 1, then a second. Nice shot up close and personal, and Melia will be the last one left alive. 1v2, definitely clutchable. Glow stick already on for the plant, and Bob's going to shut down the contest, and Swim Trek will stay perfect 4-0 up.
Swim Trek, this is a team that's just so mechanical. They're so brawly, exactly what the desk was highlighting. And I think a bit of the conversation that people have had around this Swim Trek Blue roster is how they have that kind of very Rankers-esque vibe to them, right? Where they're always just looking for those firefights. Any one of these players having that mechanical ability to absolutely pop off and take over in these rounds. And Bob has yet to die. 7-0 for her to kick things off here. And FlyQuest into this buy round, they're going for an aggro two-pronged approach here, trying to crunch these players outside of A.
Yeah, I like the idea, but the offensive utility is going to come through as well. Bob with the push off 1, good vulnerability. It's going to be a 3-for-1 exchange. Gosh, this is so frustrating for FlyQuest. I mean, you saw it on the opening pistol, trying to get aggressive, trying to set something up, show some initiation, shut down. You see it here in round 5 on their second gun round, nothing. Unbelievable start here for Swim Trek.
I think what's so impressive about the Swim Trek Blue roster is that they're this team that's constantly ready to get aggressive, but how quickly they also then react to counter aggression from the opposing side is so nice to see. Like they were poised, ready, looking to hit outside of that A site. They hear the aggression coming through, and they're so fast to throw down that snake bite, throw down, you know, any piece of utility that's going to help with that additional stall. And for FlyQuest, they are going to call a timeout now, have a bit of a discussion about what has been working, what hasn't been. We've seen in different iterations of the aggression that's been coming through Shift. But again, when Swim Trek are shooting back the way that they are, it's so hard for anybody to really get something started here on the side of Fly.
Yeah, I hate to be, you know, negative Nancy here, but talking about what's working versus what's not a lot is working right now. Plenty of things are not working. And that causes, I would say, some major concern. Like, just generally, when you take a look at, okay, we haven't had any good reactionary gameplay. We have not done anything on these initiating crunches that has worked out. And yeah, you've had a couple of great moments, but largely speaking, these rounds have been comfortable from start to finish for Swim Trek, outside of maybe a chance in a 1v2, but they've held numbers, and I want to say they've had first blood in every single round so far.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, if not every single round, it has gone the way of SwimTrek for those openers, which definitely does make it a bit tougher there for FlyQuest to find that momentum into a round. Overall, also difficult, I think, Edith on that Jet. This is a meta that's definitely been more favorable for them as time has gone on, especially running that solo duelist here for the FlyQuest camp. But unfortunately just hasn't really had any opportunity to get anything set up. We'll see if this aggression does pan out here against Bob.
Well, Bob's just going to respect that some antics could be happening. Going to take back somewhat of an angle, but instead is just going to join up the homies over towards the front door at B. Glowstick going to get the owl drone out first, able to see that the Viper's playing on the back side of the site outside. That'll be enough for the Blaze Ball to get Sherrod back in. Yep, good isolation of that space. Melia's now just pulling a 1-for-none angle. The rest of SwimTrek making their way on. Good curveball, perfect from Sherrod. Next one in the corner. Fastling going to block off that entry point. Maybe an opportunity here for Thea, able to get one, but the immediate trade is there. And for FlyQuest, now it's just down to, can we even get through our defensive spawn through arches?
At this point, it's one of those rounds where you're just trying to see if you can, take a pick or two. If anything, very realistically, don't expect to have that retake work out on the side of FlyQuest. Just going for a couple of exits, not going to happen. Bob's going to shut that down. Yep. And overall, I think a bit of the discussion between the duelists on the side of SwimTrek versus FlyQuest there for Edith is the fact that, again, we've highlighted how the game plan comes with Edith getting set up. I think that now with the operator in play, there's a lot more opportunity for FlyQuest to control one of these deep lines with a sniper rifle. But the big highlight shift, I think that for the duelists on the side of SwimTrek, you've got a Neon, you've got a Phoenix, where they have that ability to set themselves up. They're not as reliant as Edith on that Jet to have their initiators really assist in those moments to help with those frags, and they're very self-sufficient in that kind of way.
Well, I'll tell you, we're in round 7, and FlyQuest with full weapons and ultimates has to win this round. Sherrod already putting on some pressure through the Armageddon. Trades are good for SwimTrek, and it's just another set play that doesn't work whatsoever here for FlyQuest. Quick hit through mid, followed up with the aggression from main, and an Armageddon comes up completely empty without much deterrence whatsoever towards this offensive look. So now all of a sudden you're in a 3v5 and you might be considered a savior if you're FlyQuest.
Yeah, you already have Sherrod also searching for some sort of pick with a rewrap into mid as well. So it might not even be possible for that operator to be carried back here for Edith.
Wow. This is not ideal in any form right now. Oh, here comes the follow-up. Sherrod's going to have the freebie. And as you call, not going to make it through is the operator. Quick follow-up. Aria. Yeesh. Oh, nice shoulder. You get this one as well. Things are going to be dangerous. No! Corrupt there to follow up, and that will be every weapon down. SwimTrek is absolutely smacking around FlyQuest.
Yeah, they do not expect the second person just trailing Aria there. 7-0 start here for the side of SwimTrek, and for FlyQuest, honestly, I want to say that maybe the change that could work out for them on defense for these final 5 rounds would be more retake protocols. Because when it comes down to being able to hold their positions on site, SwimTrek Blue, with all the walls that they have to work with, the smokes that can come out, it's so easy for them to slice and dice and then use their utility to push back to ensure that the frags go their way.
This has been way too simple right now. And once more, Edith comes up empty. Edith's going to be traded away, and there's no follow-up. I mean, this is going to be really, really either A, easy, or B, difficult for the Des to break down. Because you could just sit there and say, well, SwimTrek is just shooting better. And that makes it difficult because how do you fill 5 minutes of Des time when this is happening? Because holy cow.
I mean, I think there's the breakdowns of that macro. Like, we do see SwimTrek just winning out on these firefights, but the utility usage is so precisely combined so that they have that ability to get the trades as efficiently as possible. And on top of that, I think the general fundamentals looking very good for the side of SwimTrek as well. Like, even though Sherrod, gets one, ends up falling because they're kind of forced off and can't really back up due to the Tejo salvo that goes out behind them, you also have a trade immediately coming through there for Glow Stick, and unfortunate for Thea, not able to get the pick there. Essentially an impossible 1v4 here for Melia. She's going to be forced to back off.
Spike planted.
Unbelievable. Well, this might be one of the fastest halves of an upper bracket final in Game Changers. Maybe ever. It's going to be 8-0. And the news doesn't get any better because you're halfway to a run it back again if you're Swim Trek. You have the Overdrive, Reckoning, Viper's Pit, Hunter's Fury. So things like Seekers, Cosmic Divide, Knives, like they really don't bother you that much. It's just not been ideal in any form for FlyQuest. Fine, again, this is their map pick.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough look overall here for the side of FlyQuest. Definitely haven't been able to find much comfort on defense whatsoever. It's tough, Shift. I think, you know, you see them going for some of these aggressive plays, trying to take the timings, take the fight to Swim Trek there as well. Those moments aren't panning out. When they sit a bit further back, they're getting really overwhelmed by Swim Trek's utility, and now the second timeout to be called already on the side of FlyQuest to find some sort of answer into this round. And again, I hate to call it out with Edith being 0-2 in this first map of the series, but again, it's that lack of self-sufficiency, right? That reliance on the rest of their team to be able to set them up for that success. And it's definitely tough to see because I think that while the players on FlyQuest can pop off, a lot of their like win con does come down to Edith having strong moments. Even if it's not like a takeover kind of game from Edith, you can rely on them for those openers, and that just hasn't been happening, which is tough to see because they're like the top performing player right now, or they were until this moment, within the playoffs here of the main event for this stage of Game Changers.
Yeah, this... Wow. That's all I can say at this point is wow. This defensive half has not panned out as intended for FlyQuest, who are now going to be on a very broken bye if they commit, which you feel like you kind of have to with Knives at the ready. So you've got, Judge, Guardian, 2 Vandals, light armors. Edith will be able to, of course, afford the full purchase of the armor. But you still have Reckoning to go through, and an Operator in the mix for Bob. It's just going to make this so difficult. So Thea's going to try to play around A with the Judge.
Get out of my way!
Ugh. You're going to get some growth. Okay, early intel for FlyQuest that nothing's beat. That's decent news. But Bob is sniping, and if they decide to look over to the left, they'll lock this down. Hunter's Fury, Reckoning to be called in. Not going to connect for the first couple. One of them do hit, though, and oh boy. Thea's low. Evie's low. Overdrive behind this play, but whoa! How about that? Evie's able to get 2, and Thea shuts down the play with the overdrive. That works out a bit unanticipated. And Evie's even going to find a third. Shutting down Glow Stick. The Knives will clean things up. Not the round you would have anticipated for FlyQuest, but it works out.
It does work out. I think that was the fastest flank that we've seen Edith go on at that point as well. We've seen them previously take a bit of space over an elbow, pushing out to B main, but it was really the quickest that they've activated on that, which I think that FlyQuest have kind of come to that realization that for Swim Trek Blue, for the most part, they're heavy hitting one side of the map. There have been some lurks from Bob here and there, but they had really changed, I think, their approach to the attacking side to ensure that it was like whether a 5-person through one main or looking for like a mid split, most of the team. So you can take advantage of that. That is for certain. Operator now posted over to B main here. You do have a scale up on the right side from the Phoenix, maybe trying to get close to get some sort of flash off if possible. But they're just pausing now, kind of anticipating FlyQuest to fight off a little bit more than they can chew.
And with FlyQuest, we get some decent information over towards A. So yeah, it has Edith primed and ready, and Sherrod will drop, trying to cross back over into elbow. So now all of a sudden, Swim Trek feels like things are getting a little bit out of hand in this first moment. But still, we have to find a way. Ooh. Try to challenge this. Edith will throw out one more shot before the Cove can come through. Still have a recon bolt available here. That will be sent to the backside of the site. Astra Star will use the vacuum, just pull everyone away, delay a little bit further. And Ari is going to try to go through. No, not fully, just backs off.
Yeah, the problem right now is that they don't have any information on the other side of the map. Meanwhile, Thea has a very deep line into A main, have a bit more of a passive hold there for mid door as well, and the rotation is going to come through. You do have a quick rotate from Melia, having that nest control there for the side of FlyQuest.
Here comes the play. Bob able to connect onto Jazz. Now all of a sudden you've separated this defense quite nicely. Looking for blood over through main is going to be Aria, and they will isolate onto Thea, who's still locking down the Guardian. He back to the site, trying to throw out some utility. Easy follow up here for Corrupt. That's just so simple. Some damage onto Aria with that late utility, but 3v2. Melia and Edith will both have rifles to play with, but standing outside the pit is Corrupt. The other two holding nicely. Corrupt is just going to be the last one into this play. Or not. Maybe it's the first one in this play. The last one needed in the play is what I meant to say. Of course, Corrupt for 3 total, and that's swim up to 9.
Yeah, really nice timing there. I mean, I don't think on anyone on the side of FlyQuest, sure, they look to peek into mid doors there for Melia, but you're not really expecting to have to clear that deeply into the angle when you do have that Viper's Pit laid down on site. Quick little tech pause on deck for you guys. We'll get word to you once we do know, but overall, I think that it's these rounds that, even though it went in the way of Swim Trek Blue, it ended up being close. Like, FlyQuest nearly ran down the clock on them, and again, leading with an opening there from Edith. That's a little bit more of what we kind of need to see here from the side of FlyQuest. They haven't been able to win out on those opening engagements, and we really saw how things slowed down once they got that pick.
Yeah, very true, very true. Yeah, it's just, this one's a frustrating one to look at if you were expecting a tight match. I think it's just frustrating in general. It's just interesting to see where the production has come from for Swim, because yeah, I was going to say, like, we really haven't seen like dominance from the double duelist. It's largely been first bloods that have been well controlled. Rod has a chance to play through the wall. Can't quite get there, though. Melia will shut that down, but that's all that tries to push towards B. Quick rotation on now for Swim Trek back to their spawn.
Yeah, very quick reaction here, and it's just going to be Thea on that A site. I like the Trailblazer coming out from Jazzy to be able to find that information, and that's going to be the signal to go and rotate over. Bob gets taken down, so revisiting B isn't really an option.
It is not. Thea is in some trouble, or are they? Nice drop close and personal. Aria has found the bad side of that a couple of times now. Hot hands pushing Thea into a weird position, but able to stay alive on the backside of the Nebulas. Do you challenge this? Do you push through this? Trying for it. Sherrod is immediately on the other side. Some spam comes through. Thea still dancing. Sensor drone comes out late to try to get the defense back into position to help Thea out. Continues to find a way to get an astral form in and out. Eventually shut down. Edith is here. Hove blocks the line of sight past yellow. And that'll be enough to at least trigger potential for the plant, but that was all a bait. As Sherrod was looking for a 1v1 on Melia, will not work, and it's Corrupt left in the 1v3.
20 seconds on the clock. It becomes impossible. I like how far back Melia has backed off as well, knowing that her position would have to be cleared out. It's going to be a race over to this B site. Should have enough time to plant, but FlyQuest will be hot on their heels.
Okay. Setting up the terms, and whoa. Along the reckoning, thinking that it might affect both Evie and Edith, looking for potentially to take the long route back along the backside of tunnel. There is time for this. Now the smoke alongside Spike has faded. But the angle is here. That's the problem. First trigger. First check. No one home. Second trigger. Second check. Easy. Oh my goodness, Corrupt. Ooh, but have they hit this smoke maybe a little bit too soon? Nah, really nice play for Corrupt. He's throwing the shoulder. One more attempt. Beautiful play from Corrupt. The 1v2 Red Bull clutch. Swim Trek up to 10. Mercy.
That was insanely well played by Corrupt. Like, you could not have asked any better from the IGL on the side of Swim Trek Blue. We're going to get a little replay of that. I do want to call out, you know, for Thea. Jazz had a lot of impact here on FlyQuest with his anchor position on that A site with the judge. But wow, what a way to repo over into tunnels there from Corrupt, really taking advantage of the reckoning, slowing things down on that retake from Fly.
On Unbelievable. So well done. And all of a sudden, hopes of this map feel like they're well and truly out of the question. Nice moment here, though, for FlyQuest. They're able to evenly exchange the opening battle at A main. Still persisting around the Viper's pit, though, are a couple of SwimTrek members. They're going to try for the Armageddon. In some trouble here is Sherrod trying to stun their way out, but not going to work. Melia finds the big trade away, and now we have a 2v3 from here.
Yeah, this definitely gets a bit awkward. Evan Thea, though, at the very least, still just on some sheriffs at the moment. They are going to try and, I think, recoup one of the guns within the Viper's pit. But a really nice Armageddon to come out there from Ev to ensure that anybody who is home in A main would get punished for it. B site will be free for the taking. There's a lot of opportunity here for Bob to create some space here for the side of SwimTrek. But honestly, for FlyQuest, in this 2v2 or 3v2, they need to win this round to have the best chance possible into the next half.
Going up.
Well, any more magic in the mix here? This 2v3. Sure feels like there very well may be with the spike going down and the space that's being created on both sides. I think in particular, knowing that Bob has gotten so much freedom with that recon bolt as well, you can set this post plan up on the defensive side of the site. And of course, in your mind, if you're FlyQuest, it's let's make sure no one's playing tunnels. This is taking a ton of time. Melia the first one to try to clear out through tunnel. But again, no one's even on site yet. Salvo doesn't really make a difference to Glowstick. Cosmic Fire going to come through for the first blood. Oh, goes the way of Melia, and then Eevee able to turn and find Glowstick. Plenty of time for the defuse, and FlyQuest is going to get their second.
Much needed second round here for the side of FlyQuest, and for now, it's really a focus on the pistol round. Now that we swap sides, Fly needs to take this one home to have an opportunity to come back here on their map pick of Breeze. As a reminder, we are in the upper finals right now, so the winner of this best of 3 will land that first slot within the grand finals later on this week. This has been a clinic thus far from SwimTrek Blue. We've seen moments of heroics here from FlyQuest, but they really need to start turning up here on attack.
Yeah, they really do. Have to win the pistol, right? I mean, that's just flat out. You have to win the pistol.
No ifs, ands, or buts on that one.
Correct. Yep.
I do kind of expect that they will kind of hesitate outside of B main right now. I know that Van talked about, you know, the lack of hard sentinel on the side of SwimTrek Blue, so you're expecting some of that aggression to come through, right?
Yeah. Well, there it is. It's on site. But SwimTrek have allowed this to happen. Relay Bolt will affect Edith. There's the high tide behind it. Sherrod is able to find first blood on the flank. So all of a sudden, FlyQuest are in some trouble. And Arya doesn't even get affected by the Trailblazer. Will slip out. And once more, if you're SwimTrek, you're comfortable right now. You've got the flank in your control. You've got to force FlyQuest to make a move. Arya playing over towards the back and is still able to find a connection. Bob now on the cross. Perfect on the pistol. SwimTrek get to 11.
Solid pistol round there for the side of SwimTrek. FlyQuest, I like the fact that, you know, they did go for the spike tap. They were trying to force the fight onto them and be able to take it, you know, as comfortably as possible without having someone dedicated into actually, like, getting that spike down. But SwimTrek were just so fast on flooding back onto site, especially with Sherrod's positioning going through elbow. The complete crunch there from the defender side.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, you know what has to happen. FlyQuest is going to have to essentially force from here on out. The problem is you really didn't find any eliminations. You didn't even have a spike plan, so this force doesn't even feel like a force. Sensor jump turned away. Edith able to find the opener, though. Spam through the toxic screen, going to come up a bit empty. FlyQuest will have numbers on this post plan. And yeah, I love this from Arya stepping up to make sure this weapon stays down. Actually avoids the Trailblazer, I believe, as well. So is still guarding. Spam on the way through. Here comes the follow. Toxic screen goes up. That will just barely block the position from Sherrod. Hot hands up and into the corner. No one's home, though. Instead, it's going to be Arya pushing out, and the hot hands will eventually have the final say. Salvo trying to stop for any personal diffuses. Nothing yet. Here comes the pinch on the way, but it's going to have to go quickly if you are Melia, because here comes the push out to deny the playthrough main. They find Melia. They find the eliminations, and Swim Trek are quickly onto map point.
Man, map point here for Swim Trek Blue, and overall, they had a good understanding of the fact they had to continue to push forward into A main. The post-plant potential there for the side of FlyQuest. They, there was a lot of great delay coming out from Ev, those salvos, trying to buy enough time. Now Sherrod also into the bonus round. You've got that run it back online here for the defender side. FlyQuest, they of course need to force up into this round once again. And it's tough. We're seeing a full send into A main from the side of FlyQuest Red. Curious to see if this will pan out. I think that Corrupt has been such a force to reckon with their utility, and we'll see what they're going to be able to do, especially with that Storm Surge.
Not good news for FlyQuest. They will have purchase here. Corrupt pulled into the gravity well, but nothing too crazy. Defense in a position, try to fight on the post plant. Ari's only able to get one though. Help on Edith on the backside. Leads to more trades, but Glow Stick turns the tide for two. And Noel thought that was going to be enough, but now it's just on to Sherrod. Last player left. If they get one with the run back, not able to find the second, but has some information on where Jazz is playing from. Blazewall up to follow. And now it's just down to, can you possibly find a way to pick this angle? Time is becoming an issue, though. Sherrod's going to go quickly. Gives up the information. Trying to finesse with the curveball. Jazz is going to just hold the corner and keep FlyQuest alive a little bit longer.
Things are still dicey, though. Definitely not a clean win here for FlyQuest Red in that last round, but really nice heroics to be coming through here from the FlyQuest Red side of things. I like the pinch. I like the aggression that we saw into that post plant as well, knowing that Swim Trek, we're going to be so ready to fight up against them, especially to deny any of that post plant utility. Now we're shifting fully over to the left side of the map. It's going to be a B hit for the side of Swim Trek Blue. Both duelists, they are poised and ready to take that mid control off barrier drop.
A little bit of patience for a moment. Defense going to get aggressive through elbow. I don't know if Melia is going to expect both duelists to be here. Quick plant though for Eevee, so Melia just needs to keep their life. Arya playing underneath window. Taking some damage through the scaling. Now it's just can Melia keep their head in a swivel, and yeah, first over the top, a little sloppy, but had some help, makes that a little bit easier. Looks like FlyQuest is going to find their fourth round here unless something crazy happens to the backside of the defensive spawn. With just Sheriffs and Bob on a solo hero rifle, you don't expect that to happen.
No, you definitely don't. For the side of Swim Trek Blue, right now it's all about trying to keep them contained, trying to get a couple of these weapons out of the hands of the FlyQuest players into the next round. That will be one weapon ripped away from Ev at the very least, and Edith actually to fall as well. So a bit of economical damage to be done here by Swim Trek Blue, as well as just trying to farm up into some of these orbs here as well. Jazzy, though, one away from the Seekers into this next round here. FlyQuest, they continue to hang on by the skin of their teeth. I think one thing that I've definitely got to give them credit for is just knowing the leadership on the side of FlyQuest. Thea, she's very calm and collected. You also have vibes merchants within Ev, like somebody who's constantly trying to keep the spirits on the team high. That's definitely something to keep our eyes out on here for the side of FlyQuest. They are definitely able to keep their mental steady even at a scoreline like this.
But no mistakes you feel like can be made. Actually has Edith pushing through. A little bit of spam coming off. FlyQuest able to find the first blood on Sherrod. May not be done yet as Arya is still dealing with some pressure. Seekers over towards the A site will read this defensive setup a touch. 2-2 split. And really now, if you're FlyQuest, it's just kind of pick your poison. Where do we want to take our 5v2?
It's a big pick there on Jazzy. Edith not able to get the drop on glow
Oh,
stick.
no.
Everything's starting to fall apart here. I think FlyQuest, they had a good idea, you know, that patience. We'll see if I'm just gonna hold my breath for this fight first.
Little crossfire setup just inside the cove. Oh my. Cove wall will break. Arya for one, zips away. Trying just to finesse a little while longer. What a shot from Arya! Overdrive! No, but damage is done. Evie down is the last one left alive. 1v2 situation. Defense not here yet. Rotating over quickly. Evie will be able to get the Armageddon with the plant, but a shock dart bounces off the back wall. Lands right firmly at the feet, and Swim Trek dominate map number 1.